I walked into my cousin's brand new boutique and realized every inch of it was built with my stolen money. My name is Veronica, and for as long as I can remember, I believed that my startup fund would help me open my dream restaurant. My parents had set aside that money before they passed away, ensuring that when the time came, I wouldn't have to struggle financially to build my future. I treasured every penny, planned meticulously, and spent years preparing for the day I could make that dream a reality. And then, in one single day, it was all taken from me. The betrayal didn't come from a stranger. It came from my Aunt Evelyn, the woman who raised me after my mother died. She wasn't just a guardian. She was the only family I had left. And yet, she had no hesitation in stealing my entire startup fund to help her daughter Sienna open a luxury boutique. When I found out, my entire world collapsed. I received a notification from the bank stating that my account had been emptied. At first, I thought it was a mistake, a system error. I refreshed the app, checked the balance again. But no, the number staring back at me was still 0. My heart raced. I bolted out of my apartment and drove straight to Aunt Evelyn's house. My hands trembled as I gripped my phone, checking the transaction history over and over, hoping there was some explanation that didn't involve outright theft. There wasn't. I pounded on her door like my life depended on it. When she finally opened it, I stormed in without waiting for an invitation. "What the hell did you do with my money?" My voice was already shaking with anger. Aunt Evelyn sighed, like I was overreacting. "Oh, Veronica, I was going to tell you, but it's already done." "Done?" My stomach dropped. "What do you mean, done? That was my money. You had no right to touch it." She gave me a placating smile, as if I was a child throwing a tantrum. Sienna needed some financial support to start her business. You know how hard it is to launch something these days, and she had such a great opportunity in the fashion industry. I felt physically ill. "You used all of my money to open a boutique for Sienna?" I could barely get the words out. "Don't be so dramatic," she said lightly. "Think of it as a family investment." My hands clenched into fists. "You stole from me, and now you want me to see it as an investment?" She shrugged. "Besides, you can still be part of it. Sienna actually mentioned that you could work at the store. She said she'd let you be a manager." I let out a sharp, humorless laugh. "So let me get this straight. You stole my money, gave it to your daughter, and now you're offering me a job at the store I paid for?" Her smile faded. "A job is a job, Veronica. If you're truly talented, you'll find another way to achieve your goals." Rage burned through me like wildfire, but I knew that arguing with her was useless. I had already lost. The money, the only thing that could have helped me build my future, was gone. But the anger didn't fade. And when I stepped into Sienna's boutique, standing among racks of overpriced clothes, watching her bask in the admiration of her customers, I knew one thing for certain. I wasn't going to let this slide. I was going to take everything back, and I was going to make them pay for what they did. I should have known that my suffering wasn't enough for them. Having my entire startup fund stolen by my Aunt Evelyn and handed over to her daughter, Sienna, was already a crushing betrayal. But they didn't stop there. They wanted to humiliate me, too. 2 days after my confrontation with Evelyn, I received a text from Sienna. Sienna: "Hey, cuz. I heard about your little outburst at Mom's place. No hard feelings, okay? I actually have a great idea. Why don't you come work at my store? I'll let you be the assistant manager. It's the least I can do after all the help you gave me." My hands shook as I read it. She was mocking me, laughing at the fact that my dream had been stolen right out from under me. She knew exactly what she was doing. I stared at my screen, willing myself to ignore the burning rage spreading through my chest. I should have ignored her. I should have let it go. But something inside me snapped, and before I could stop myself, I replied, "Me. You stole my money, and now you think I'll work for you?" Her response was almost instant. "Sienna, oh, come on. It's not like you were doing anything with it. I actually made something successful out of it. If anything, you should be thanking me." Thanking her. I gripped my phone so tightly that my knuckles turned white. Before I could fire back, another text came in. Sienna, come by the store later, I'll show you around. Who knows? Maybe you'll change your mind. I wanted to ignore her, to block her number, and pretend she didn't exist. But I needed to see it for myself. I needed to see what my stolen money had built. When I arrived at Sienna's boutique, I felt physically sick. The place was stunning. Golden chandeliers, polished marble floors, racks filled with designer clothes. Everything screamed wealth and luxury, and every inch of it had been funded by my parents' hard-earned money. Sienna stood near the register, dressed in a pristine white blazer, her hair in perfect waves. The moment she saw me, a smug grin spread across her face. "Oh, wow, you actually came," she said, sipping on a fancy iced coffee. "I wasn't sure you'd show up, but hey, since you're here, let me give you a tour." I clenched my fists, forcing myself to stay calm. "This is what you spent my money on?" Sienna twirled in place, arms outstretched. "Isn't it gorgeous? I had to pull some strings to get the best interior designer, but I think it was worth it." "It wasn't your money to spend." My voice was barely above a whisper, but every word dripped with fury. She sighed dramatically. "Ugh, you're still on that." "Look, Veronica, I know you're upset, but life isn't fair. You didn't even have a real plan for that money. Mom just helped put it to good use." A real plan. I had spent years planning, saving, dreaming. And now she was standing here, acting like I was the foolish one for wanting what was rightfully mine. Sienna walked over to one of the glass display cases and tapped her nails against it. "Listen, I know you're bitter, but I'm being serious about my offer. I'll even pay you more than a regular employee. You'd get discounts too." I could barely hear her over the blood pounding in my ears. She wasn't offering me a job out of kindness. She was offering me a position beneath her to remind me that she won. I looked around at the store again, at the women browsing through racks of clothes, oblivious to the fact that this entire business was built on stolen money. My money. That's when I realized something. Sienna wasn't afraid of me. She didn't think I was a threat. She believed that I was weak, powerless, that I would just accept this and fade into the background like I always had. She thought she had already won. I took a deep breath and forced a smile. "You know what, Sienna? Maybe you're right. Maybe I overreacted." Her eyes widened in surprise. "Really?" I nodded. "Yeah, I mean, what's done is done, right? I can't change the past." She grinned. "Exactly." "I knew you'd come around." I smiled back, but inside, I was already forming a plan. Sienna thought she had beaten me. She had no idea that she had just handed me the perfect opportunity to destroy her. Sienna thought she had won. That was her biggest mistake. For the past 2 weeks, I played my role perfectly. The bitter cousin who finally came around and wanted to make peace. I smiled when she gloated. I nodded when she boasted about her hard work building the store. I even let her assign me meaningless tasks, running errands like I was some unpaid intern. But in reality, I was gathering information. And what I found was far worse than I expected. Sienna's boutique wasn't just an overpriced fashion store. She was running a full-fledged scam. She claimed her clothes were high-end designer imports, but the truth? She was buying cheap knockoffs, slapping luxury brand tags on them, and selling them for thousands of dollars. Customers thought they were getting exclusive, one-of-a-kind pieces, when in reality, they were paying premium prices for garbage that cost her a few dollars to source online. And the best part? She was stupid enough to leave a digital trail. I had access to everything: fake invoices, bulk orders from shady suppliers, even emails where she laughed about customers being too dumb to notice. She didn't just steal my money, she built her empire on fraud. But I wasn't done. Because the biggest secret? My Aunt Evelyn was hiding something even worse. One evening, while Sienna was out celebrating another successful month of ripping people off, I stayed late at the store. I wasn't there to work. I was there to dig deeper. I had one goal: access Evelyn's office computer. She handled the financials, meaning every dirty secret, every fraudulent transaction, every illegal business deal, was stored on that computer. Problem? Evelyn never left it unattended. But that night, luck was on my side. Evelyn was distracted, chatting on the phone in the back room. I could hear her pacing, her voice hushed but tense. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop until I heard one name that made my blood turn cold: my cousin's boyfriend. I froze. Evelyn was talking to him, and not like a concerned mother checking in on her daughter's relationship. Her voice was too soft, too intimate. I barely breathed as I listened. Evelyn: I miss you too, baby. I can't wait to see you again. Him: I know, but Sienna's getting suspicious. We have to be careful. Evelyn: Relax. She's too busy playing CEO to notice anything. Just stick to the plan, okay? Once I finalize everything, we won't have to sneak around anymore. I nearly dropped the laptop in my hands. Evelyn was having an affair with Sienna's boyfriend. And by the sound of it, it wasn't just some meaningless fling. They were planning something Sienna had no idea about. I bit my lip, my mind racing. This was it. The final piece I needed. Not only did I have evidence of Sienna's fraudulent business, but now I had proof that her own mother was betraying her in the worst way possible. This wasn't just about getting my money back anymore. This was about watching them destroy each other from the inside out. The next morning, Sienna walked into the boutique like she owned the world, flipping her sunglasses onto her head. Ugh, I drank way too much last night, she groaned. Be a doll and grab me a coffee, will you? I smiled. Of course. Oh, by the way, your mom asked me to send you a presentation she's been working on. She said it's super important. Sienna rolled her eyes. Whatever, just email it. I nodded, trying not to grin, because what I sent her wasn't the presentation Evelyn had prepared. It was the proof of her mother's affair, a collection of texts, call logs, and voice recordings. Everything she needed to realize that her mother, the woman who stole my money to fund her business, was the same woman sleeping with her boyfriend behind her back. Sienna had no idea what she was about to open, but I knew one thing for sure. This would be the beginning of her downfall. Comment the number 1 if you want to see how Sienna will pay for this. I watched from the corner of the store as Sienna clicked on the email I had sent her. For a brief second, she looked bored, probably expecting some dull financial reports from her mother. But as the messages loaded, the texts, the call logs, the proof of Evelyn's affair with her boyfriend, her entire face twisted in confusion. Then, realization hit. Her hands clenched around her phone. Her perfectly manicured nails dug into the screen as her jaw tightened. And then, she screamed. The entire boutique fell silent. Customers turned to stare. Employees froze mid-task, their eyes darting nervously toward their boss. Sienna's breathing grew erratic as she scrolled through the damning evidence. Number, no, she muttered, shaking her head in disbelief. She shot up from her chair, knocking over her coffee. Her eyes darted across the store, filled with panic and fury. And then, as if on cue, Evelyn walked in. Sienna's head snapped toward her mother. For a brief moment, she hesitated, like she couldn't fully process what she had just read. But then, the rage won. She lunged at Evelyn. You disgusting backstabbing! How could you? Evelyn barely had time to react before Sienna shoved her so hard that she stumbled back against a display shelf. Perfume bottles crashed to the floor, shattering on impact. The scent of overpriced floral notes filled the air, mixing with the thick tension crackling between them. What's wrong with you? Evelyn shrieked, eyes wide with shock. Sienna held up her phone, shoving the screen into her mother's face. This! You've been sleeping with my boyfriend behind my back? How long, Mom? How long have you been betraying me? Gasps rippled through the store. Employees exchanged horrified looks. Customers whispered. Some even pulled out their phones, eager to capture the meltdown of the so-called successful businesswoman. Evelyn paled. Sienna, listen to me. Listen to you? Sienna's voice cracked as she laughed bitterly. I trusted you. You stole from Veronica for me. You told me you did all of this to help me succeed. And the whole time, you were sleeping with my boyfriend? The same one you told me was bad news? I had to bite my lip to keep from grinning. Sienna thought she was the queen of deception, but she had just learned the hard way that she wasn't untouchable. The boutique was in chaos. Employees awkwardly tried to disappear into the background. Customers whispered furiously. And then, as if things couldn't get worse, the doors burst open, and in walked several uniformed officers. Sienna turned just in time to see them approaching. Confusion flickered in her eyes before one of them stepped forward, pulling out a warrant. "Miss Sienna Monroe?" She blinked. "What? Yes? You are under investigation for fraudulent business practices, consumer deception, and tax evasion. We have a warrant to search the premises and seize financial records. Please step aside." Her world crumbled in real time. Sienna's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Wait, what? Fraud? What are you talking about?" But then the officer handed her a folder, and as her shaking hands opened it, I saw the exact moment she realized what was happening. The invoices, the supplier emails, the proof that she had been selling fake designer goods at sky-high prices. She turned to Evelyn, eyes wide. "Mom, what did you do?" Evelyn, still flustered from the earlier confrontation, froze. I didn't, but I decided to help clarify things for them." "She didn't do this," I said, stepping forward at last, letting them see me. "I did." Silence. Evelyn and Sienna turned to me in unison, as if finally realizing that I had been standing there the whole time. Sienna's face contorted with rage. "You?" I smiled, slow and deliberate. "Did you really think you could steal from me, mock me, and get away with it?" I tilted my head. "Oh, Sienna, you're not nearly as smart as you think you are." Her chest rose and fell rapidly. You set me up." I laughed. "No, sweetheart, you set yourself up. I just helped everyone see the truth." The officers didn't wait for her to process it. They began searching the store, pulling records, confiscating inventory. The boutique that had once sparkled with stolen wealth was now turning into a crime scene. And as the final blow, one officer turned back to Sienna. "Miss Monroe, I need you to come with us for questioning." Sienna screamed, "No, this isn't happening! Mom, do something!" But Evelyn, she didn't move. For the first time in her life, she was completely silent. Because she knew this wasn't something she could fix, Sienna thrashed, her voice breaking. "This is Veronica's fault! She did this! She wants to ruin me!" I took a step closer, lowering my voice so only she could hear. "No, Sienna, you ruined yourself!" She stared at me, eyes filled with pure hatred. And then, as the officers escorted her out, her screams echoed through the boutique. Everything she had built, everything she had stolen, gone. Sienna was gone. Her boutique, the empire she built on lies and my stolen money, had crumbled in front of everyone. The last thing I saw as she was dragged out of her store was pure, unfiltered hatred in her eyes. But none of it mattered. She had done this to herself. Now there was only one loose end left to tie up. Evelyn. The fallout from Sienna's arrest was immediate. The scandal spread like wildfire. Customers demanded refunds. Influencers who had promoted her brand scrubbed all traces of it from their accounts. Lawsuits piled up. The entire industry turned its back on her. But Evelyn, she went into survival mode. I expected her to be ashamed, to disappear in humiliation. But no. She fought like a rabid animal backed into a corner. She begged, bribed, and twisted the truth in every way she could. She tried to blame everything on Sienna, saying she had no idea about the fraud. She went on talk shows, crying about how she had sacrificed everything for her daughter, playing the part of the betrayed mother. And for a brief moment, it worked. She fooled some people, until the truth caught up with her. Because while she was busy scrambling, something happened that she didn't expect. Sienna turned on her. I was at home when I saw the interview. Sienna, now free on bail but completely disgraced, sat across from a journalist, looking like a ghost of her former self. Her hair wasn't perfect. Her confidence was gone. And for the first time in her life, she looked genuinely afraid. Then, the journalist asked her, "Your mother claims she had no part in the fraud, that she was just as deceived as the customers. Is that true?" I leaned forward. For a moment, Sienna was silent. Then, she let out a sharp, bitter laugh. "Number? That's a lie!" Boom! She spilled everything. The fake invoices, the secret deals, the way Evelyn had orchestrated the entire scam from behind the scenes while letting Sienna take the fall. But the best part? She exposed Evelyn's affair. Live. On. Television. I couldn't stop laughing as I watched Evelyn's world implode in real time. Her reputation, destroyed. Her business connections, gone. The people who once admired her, now saw her for the liar she was. And the final nail in the coffin? Greg, her longtime partner, dumped her publicly. He went on social media, announcing their breakup in the most brutal way possible. I always knew Evelyn was good at deception. I just never thought she'd be stupid enough to get caught. Ouch. With no more allies, no more lies left to spin, Evelyn finally broke. The last time I saw her, she was standing outside Sienna's now empty boutique, staring at the "for sale" sign like it was the end of her world. She had lost everything, her business, her credibility, her relationship. And as I walked past her, she looked up, her eyes filled with something I had never seen before. Defeat. She didn't beg. She didn't try to justify herself. She just whispered, "It was you, wasn't it?" I smiled. "What do you think?" She opened her mouth, but no words came out. I didn't wait for her to find them. I walked away, leaving her to drown in the ruins of her own making. My money, I got it back. Every single penny. With the lawsuits piling up against her, Evelyn had no choice but to settle. The moment the check cleared, I used it to open my own restaurant, the dream they tried to steal from me. And unlike Sienna's scam boutique, my business was built on something real. The grand opening was packed. Friends, customers, even local food critics came. As I looked around, watching people enjoy the food I had worked so hard to create, I realized something. I had won. Not just because Evelyn and Sienna lost everything, but because I had built something that they never could. Something honest. Something real. And that was the best revenge of all. Comment the number 1 if you loved this revenge. Don't forget to subscribe for more insane stories like this.